Aquaman number 28, written by Jeff Parker, art by Paul Pelletier. So last issue, wrap up of a giant kaiju attack. There's this extra super secret base that's investigating Atlantis stuff, and then there was a guy who's being attacked by sharks outside that base. So we open up with a dude who's been going around Amnesty Bay, and he finally makes it over to Aquaman's lighthouse, and there's a fisherman there being like, oh, they don't come by much anymore. It's cleared off to the public. You can't get in there, buddy. And he's just like, fair enough. Bye, old man. So we cut to Aquaman and his team of Atlanteans as they start heading back, and they're like, okay, so you saw the Kraken thing burn, but you said that it was sending you like mental images or something, and he said, yeah, and it's still sending out pulses. I still feel it alive, and I'm tracking it to this location. And as they arrive, they find an entire underwater city that was very clearly built by surface dwellers, by normal men. And everyone's like, how in the hell did this happen? We didn't even notice this. How did this happen? And they're like, well, I mean, we were under hostile occupation for 6 months, so a lot could have happened there. So they see the guy being attacked by sharks outside, and it's just like, well, it serves him right, surface dweller coming down to our area. And Aquaman jumps out of the ship, and he's like, don't be dicks. Let's go save the guy. So Aquaman comes in at high speeds. The base is like, hey, Aquaman's about to ram our base, and so they fire off torpedoes. He dodges one, second one hits, and that's when Stephen Shin comes in, and he's like, bro, he's trying to save the dude being attacked by sharks. Stop hitting him with torpedoes. So Aquaman gets back to his senses. He goes for the guy. The guy's already being like torn apart. And Aquaman's like, they're in a feeding frenzy. I can't talk to him. I just got to punch him off. And so he punches off the things. All of a sudden, the door to the base opens up. And Aquaman's like, well, this could be a trap, but I have to save this guy. So he gets him in there. Immediately, some doctors are there ready to pick him up. And they bring him to a operating room to save him. And that's when Dr. Shin steps up and is like, hey, Aquaman, wish we didn't have to meet like this. How's it going? And he's like, oh, Shin, what the hell is this place? And he's like, oh, yeah, no. I helped design this place, but, like, this is a response to what Atlantis did and, like, all the stuff that went on there, but I'm not in charge. And as he starts to explain, then all of a sudden, Aquaman gets tons of, like, red laser dots on him, and the big boss comes in being like, hey, no more talking to Aquaman. He's not welcome here. And Aquaman's like, excuse me, the seas are my domain. You have no sovereignty here. And he's like, well, now we do, bitch. So Aquaman is about to, like, step up and be like, look, if you fire on, like, that ship out there or anything else, I'm going to throw you out to the sharks. And he's just like, do it. Let's see what happens. Let's see who's got more firepower. And Shin calms him down, just being like, bro, step back, take a breath, let him do his thing. So that's really where that part of the issue just ends. I think we get one page later on explaining a bit more, but we cut back up to Amnesty Bay where Aquaman and Mera are just going to enjoy some time back at the lighthouse. And they walk their way up, and that one cop there named Erica, who is watching their dog, she's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Here's your dog. I was just shooing some people off the pier. Hey, Arthur, are you coming to the high school reunion? And he's like, oh, so they go into their house and they get changed out of their costumes, as best you want to call it. And Mera has no idea what a high school reunion is. And Arthur's like, don't worry about it. We're not going. And she's like, what? No, I want to know about the young Arthur Curry. Tell me, like, if this helps me understand you more, I would love to hear about it. And he's like, look, they didn't even like me because of the thing that happened. And he's like, what thing happened? So then we get the explanation that when he was 13, there was a beach that was washed up into this cove. It was still alive, but it was, like, clearly not doing okay. Aquaman went up and, like, was trying to push it back out, and in doing so, he connected to it telepathically. And that was the first time that had ever happened, and it, like, freaked him out. However, then he felt this huge sense of pain, and it turns out one of the other kids was, like, scratching his name into the whale using a knife. And Arthur freaks out so much, he grabs the kid, uses his strength, and just throws him into a cliff. And that puts the kid in a coma for like a month. And Arthur's like, yeah, all the kids avoided me after that day. And years later, once I was outed, they never saw me again. And Mera's like, well, okay, thanks for telling me that, but, like, I still think we should go. So the one little quick glimpse we get to back at Triton base is the guy who was attacked named Coombs. He is currently like quadriplegic, barely holding to life. He's lost all of his limbs. Everything's horrible for him. And the scientist steps up and be like, we have special experimental things we can do. And Big Boss Man's like, go for it. Whatever. Who cares? Keep me informed. So cutting over to the high school reunion, we see a bunch of people talking, being like, hey, so Erica, you invited him, right? Do you think he's going to come? And she's like, I don't know, maybe, could be. And we get this one guy, Kevin, who, hearing this, he gets this like mental image of like bearded god Aquaman riding a Kraken being like, where is Kevin? Bring him to me and you all will be spared. So Kevin runs out of the room, but in doing so, he bumps right into Arthur, like, and his chest. And Arthur's like, hey, Kevin, I was hoping to see you. And Kevin's like, I gotta go. So he runs out. Everyone else starts greeting Aquaman. A couple of drunk, like, jock guys come up and they're like, bro, why weren't you on the swim team with us? We could have dominated. And one of the classmates' fiance is a cop. And so he comes up and is just like, hey, fellows, how about you step away? So he separates them away. And we do the thing of Arthur asking, like, so what's everyone, what have you all been up to? And everyone's like, oh, yeah, we work at the local cannery. Pretty much all of us. Fran here owns a B&B, but everyone else works in the cannery. And you, King of the Seas, that's cool. And so he gets embarrassed by that. There's one dude, Danny, steps up. And apparently he had a lobster boat that Arthur was going to help him with after graduation, but then Arthur got outed, and so he essentially didn't have enough crew to run his operation, and he nearly went broke. So Danny was pissed off at him. He storms out, and everyone's like, don't worry, Danny's a dick. Don't worry about him. So everyone else has been like talking in the meantime over the years, and they basically step up one by one, being like, hey, I was on a ship out in a storm. We were being tossed and turned. We were swearing we were going to like fall over. All of a sudden, something brought us into shore. We thought it was the tides, but that was you, wasn't it? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, it might have been. I can't remember. And so more and more people step up saying like, oh yeah. And when my whale watching business was going out of business, you made the whales start showing up, right? And he's like, I might have mentioned something to the whales, but like, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. So at this point, Mara points out to Erica, she'd be like, Erica, which of these girls did Arthur date? And he's like, oh, he didn't really date much, but there was one that he had like a huge crush on. That's her over there. I think it's, what's her name? Like Katie or something. And just points her out. So as everyone else keeps on like saying, oh, thank you, Arthur, for everything you did. Arthur looks over and sees Mara talking to Katie. And he's like, hey, what's going on over here? And Katie is sharing all these images of, the boyfriends of all these girls they went to school with would get like necklaces and bracelets and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Katie, every day, Arthur presented a new, beautiful looking seashell, and she kept them around like that. So she, it's all in good fun. She's happy to see Arthur again. And all of a sudden, Kevin comes back in, and Kevin's like, Arthur, I gotta admit this. I'm the one who keyed your car in senior year. I was so jealous of you because you were so like awesome and everyone wanted you around. And I was a petty jerk and I'm sorry. And Aquaman like looms over him being like, you're lucky you caught me on such a sacred Atlantean holiday. I will let you go if you promise to turn your life around and be good from now on. And he's like, oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for the mercy. And Mara's like, do you even remember that happening? And he's like, no, I don't remember that at all. So they go back out to the beach later on, and they basically say, like, so, Arthur, you decided to come. What made you change your mind? You didn't seem like you were going to earlier. And Arthur's like, well, I had somebody remind me that I shouldn't have been scared to come. It's not something that, I should have been afraid of. And he's like, well, why would you have been afraid? And they're like, well, because, that kid I put in a coma. And it's like, dude, that kid you put in a coma brags about it. Like, he says, like, oh, yeah, Aquaman put me in a coma for a month. He never mentions the fact that you guys were kids, but, like, he brags about it all the time. It's no big deal. So, at this point, we then see that the dude who was snooping around the lighthouse earlier on, while Aquaman was out at his high school reunion, he stole Aquaman's trident. He has taken it to some random island where there is an imprint of the trident in some stone, and he's like, this is a key, that is my keyhole, I am going to put it in. And as he puts it in, it says something about, the door is opening, at long last we return. So, oopsie, opened an ancient evil. I like it. Personally, I think I could have done with an entire issue just being the high school bit, but I think it hit on all the points it needed to and made Aquaman just, a really much more relatable character. You spend so much time with him being like, oh, I have these fish powers, or, oh, I have such royal problems, that when they eventually come back and say, like, no, he was a high schooler at one point. I appreciate that. I think it's a well-written issue in that regard. Everything else in there was also solid, but definitely that was my favorite part. So I'm going to give this one an 8. I really enjoy it. I think that it's a good sign for Jeff Parker's run that I am getting these sort of smaller stories out of it, and it doesn't have to be just Kraken destroying a city kind of levels. So yeah, 8 for this.